Hey everyone, this is Paul Gale from paulgalenetwork.com, and thank you for joining me today for video game news. It is December 9th, 2021, and these are the top stories of the day. To kick things off, hype check time. How stoked are you for the Game Awards? I am way up here. you know, it's streaming live on YouTube, Twitch, thegameawards.com at 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. That's the start time of the pre-show, and then the main event will kick off at 5 p.m. Pacific time. I am thankful and grateful for being an official co-streamer. I will be here live on YouTube streaming the whole event, and I can't wait for what we're going to see. I'm over here right now on Jeff Keighley's Twitter page, and he's posting quite a bit in the last few days. We got the announcement the other day that Ben Schwartz and Jim Carrey will be there to show off the new trailer, the first trailer for the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie. And we'll also get to see, thanks to Sega, that new Sonic the Hedgehog 3D open world game. At least it sounds like it's open world from rumors and whatnot. We got a little teaser of that a few months ago, but this will be the actual look of it. Will it be gameplay, cinematic, combination? Hopefully a combination, but I'm stoked. There's a lot of wonder behind this show as well. We know we're going to get quite a few first-time looks at games, and probably some updated looks at things that were revealed before. Something that might show up. Perfect Dark, that's a little safe guess, I would say, of the first gameplay footage or a new, better realized story cinematic being there tonight. Why? Because last year it was at the Game Awards where Perfect Dark was shown off. And that was one of my most hyped moments of the night. I was just, wow, in love with the moment. When I saw that laptop gun, I knew this was Perfect Dark. Of course, that was also Sephiroth's reveal. We also had the Xbox Series X be shown off at the Game Awards before. Over the years, the event really has had a lot of substantial moments. We got The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild footage back when it was on Wii U being shown off by Mr. Miyamoto and Mr. Aonuma. Quite a few things have happened that are really hype level at the show. But I think Perfect Dark stands a decent chance at being there. Wishful thinking would be Street Fighter 6. We know that Capcom's working on it. We heard from them that in 2022 we will see something for the first time officially. But could they squeeze in a little, trailer of some sort, a very small sneak peek, a logo tonight? Maybe. Like I said, a little bit of wishful thinking on that one. Final Fantasy 16, we know that is well under its way of development. I think it stands a decent chance at being here. Final Fantasy 7, the remake part 2, could be here as well. I'm just going over some of the games that we already know about and talking about the potential of them being here, the likelihood, maybe not so much. The award show really reaches a tremendous audience. We're looking at probably 100 million people tuning in its opening 24 hours, if not live at once, around the world. And that's really staggering if you think about it. 100 million people. So if you're a video game company, why not advertise your product at this show tonight? You're going to be seen by many. If you have an awesome trailer ready to go for a game that's coming out within the next 12 months and simultaneously drop it here at the Game Awards, and then while everybody's hyped about it, reveal it yourself on Twitter and on your YouTube, you're just going to have this, 20 million view juggernaut, Breath of the Wild-like trailer. In the case of Breath of the Wild, that's another one. The sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild could very well be here tonight. We know that Mr. Doug Bowser is flying in to Los Angeles from Redmond, Washington. I don't think that you would fly out the president of Nintendo of America if it was just for an award that you would receive. I mean, maybe, right? Washington and California aren't all that far. It would be still worth it having NOA's president come down for an award. But I feel like there are other people at Nintendo that could just do that. But if you're going to present something, check out our new look at blank or a first look at blank. You're going to want to have Doug Bowser there. We know that former Nintendo of America president, Mr. Reggie Fils-Aime, is going to be here. Could it be a moment of Reggie presenting the award for X game that happened to be on Nintendo's end of receiving it to Doug? And by the way, since we're both here, how about we both co-premiere the following? And then there you have a trailer. That sounds such a fanboy thing, fangirl thing, but as a passionate fan, like, that's what I want. That would be so cool because, you know, we grew up with Reggie for a long time. I was able to personally meet him and befriend him over multiple years worth of E3s, so I really like him. And I also really like Doug. I've had the pleasure of meeting him a few times over the last couple of E3s, and he's also really cool. So having these two cool people, both that I know in the real world, Reggie that I've known longer, but Doug, yeah, potentially longer. We'll see how long he stays at Nintendo, hopefully for many years to come. It's a cool moment. It's a cool, not even passing of the torch, but hey, let's do this together. Nintendo's past and present coming together for a big announcement. And what would be bigger than The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2? Maybe a dual announcement of Metroid Prime Remake. And by the way, here's another sneak peek at Metroid Prime 4. That's my Bayonetta 1 and 2 plus 3 scenario, where, you know, at the Game Awards back in 2017, when Nintendo Switch was just 9 months old, which is wild that it's almost 5 years old now, Nintendo showed off, okay, Bayonetta 1 and 2 coming to Nintendo Switch. Cool. Bayonetta 1 and 2 came out on Wii U, the latter being exclusive to Nintendo. And then here, by the way, is a sneak peek at Bayonetta 3. Now, we didn't get to see Bayonetta 3 for, you know, another almost 4 years at that point. It was shown off at E3, right? And it's coming out next year. So close to 5 years removed between when the game was first shown and when it will finally be released. But still, the Game Awards did that scenario. I could see, here's the first trailer of a classic game soon celebrating its 20th anniversary. In fact, next year will be its 20th anniversary. Coming to Nintendo Switch. Enjoy. And it's this beautiful remake, kind of Resident Evil 2 style remake, level of, you know, expansion of Metroid Prime, coming right in time for that 20th anniversary of the Nintendo GameCube hit original. And if you're wondering, yes, we are working on Metroid Prime 4. We have a little something for you today on that one. Enjoy. And boom, it's Metroid Prime 4. A quick look. You can see the graphical difference between the two. Maybe less gameplay, maybe no gameplay. And then that image, 2023. Confirm it for 2023. How gargantuan would be that? It's definitely possible. You know, you might say you're setting your expectations up too high, you're getting too hyped. If it doesn't happen, you're going to be disappointed. Honestly, I'm not going to be disappointed. It would take a lot to disappoint me. I mean, if we get none of the games that I am looking forward to and none of the surprises interest me in any way, even then, if they do a good job presenting the awards and if the musical performances are cool and, you know, the celebrities on stage are making some fun jokes and some of the award recipients are there and, you know, having nice speeches as thanks, I still won't be disappointed, you know? Maybe on that trailer side, like, okay, a little disappointed, but the overall show is still going to be fun. I'm still looking forward to it. And like I said, I highly doubt that nothing's going to show up or that nothing is going to surprise me. But we'll see. You know, curve your expectations, your excitement, but I think it's fair to get excited. What else? We saw God of War Ragnarok not too long ago. A decent trailer. So will it show up? Possibly, but it might be too soon that maybe Sony wants to wait until earlier in 2022 to show it off. Same thing with Horizon's sequel. I don't know if I would expect it to be here tonight, but either one of them could have a trailer. I'm kind of thinking more, though, of Spider-Man 2 or Wolverine, because we've seen the least amount from those two games, and with the Spider-Man movie coming out soon, No Way Home, next week, what a wonderful way to build up Spider-Man massive hype than to have Spider-Man 2 trailer shown off tonight. That's 1 week removed from Spider-Man No Way Home. Beautiful pairing of Spider-Man talk in the world going wild. Yeah, there won't be too much confusion. Wait, which one's the game? Which one's the movie? People will figure it out. It's going to get people talking. So I'm going to say Spider-Man 2 has a good shot. Would we get Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine? I'm going to say no on that one, but Spider-Man 2, I think. Breath of the Wild 2, I think it's going to be there. And that pair of Metroid double goodness is going to be there, I think. And I'm also going to go with Perfect Dark. Those are my 5 probably top, most excited, most anticipated games that I also think will be there. You know, you could say like, well, Street Fighter 6 I'm super hyped for, but I don't think it's necessarily going to be there. I would love for a potential Banjo-Kazooie 3, a Banjo 3 to be there, but it's so far removed from my mind that I would legitimately be shocked if it was shown off, you know? Nintendo Switch Plus, like a brand new console being dropped there, not the most likely, but I would be thrilled. Like, that would just be a fantastic, cool looking announcement, you know? And Injustice 3 or Mortal Kombat 12, you know, something crazy like a Marvel versus DC, right? Those are all of the games that, you know, some more likely than not happening, but I just don't see being there. I would be really shocked because they're not at the forefront of my mind. Although now that I'm talking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, that would be cool. It would be cool to have a Metal Gear Solid 6, a brand new 2D Castlevania. Give me a Monster Hunter Summer Break trailer, right? The game expansion is coming out in July on Nintendo Switch next year, summer at least, sometime. Could that be there? You know, maybe. Like I said, there's a lot. There's a lot. On the indie side, could we see Silksong? It's a big enough show that really pays tribute and gives respect to the big 3 hardware manufacturers, but also has plenty of third-party support, looks at the indie scene, looks at the adaptive scene, and takes in music into consideration, acknowledging people that have worked in the industry. It does quite a bit. So something like Silksong, something like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, that could pop right in there and fit really well. Not a shadow drop because it's been confirmed 2022, but that could pop in there kind of in a way like Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 The Black Order was dropped in there for Nintendo Switch. And like, whoa, that was cool, and that was an exclusive. We know TMNT is not going to be an exclusive. It's coming out on multiple platforms, but still, that could be something. We do know that the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League will be there, so that's pretty cool. Could we see the Gotham Knights title? Maybe. Any new surprise game? Probably. You know, probably some surprises that we had no idea was even being worked on behind the scenes may show up. I'm always down for some more rare goodness. You know, you throw me a new Conker's Bad Fur Day or a Killer Instinct, and I'm going to think, that's pretty cool. That was a nice get at the show. Smash Brothers is kind of off the table this year, unless if Nintendo did the unthinkable and said, okay, we have one last character. It's going to be free. kind of like Piranha Plant was. All you have to do is own the game by January 15th, and if you do, or maybe it's a free add-on to anyone that has purchased one of the fighter packs before, enjoy something like that, and like one last character. I don't think that's it. It would kind of take a little bit of the thunder away from Sora. Maybe not, though. If it was a last character, I don't think it would be someone substantial, but maybe it would. You know, I'm tossed back and forth. Could be somebody small, tongue-in-cheek, inside, like Waluigi. And I say small Waluigi, even though fans want him because, you know, it's not a massive Nintendo IP legendary character necessarily with his own games and franchises and stuff like that. Even though he's been a part of many games, you know, it's not a massive character on the third-party side, you know, but someone like a Master Chief, that'd be crazy. But like I said, we're not going to get Smash Brothers. I would legitimately be falling backwards out of my chair almost if that happened. So let's not count on that. Could Tommy Tallarico, good longtime friend, show off some more of his Intellivision Amico at the show? Maybe. I haven't heard anything on that end. So I'm going to say no, but you know, it's possible. Yeah. I'm just stoked. I'm really, really pumped up. I am curious to see who's going to win Game of the Year. I want to know what the fan vote is for favorite. What's the most anticipated game coming forward? And that's another thing. Like Breath of the Wild's sequel is on that list. Whether it wins or not doesn't necessarily mean that it will or will not, you know, have a trailer here. I just think it makes sense that if you have a game that you have good faith in, that you know is good quality, you want to have it be seen by many people, throw it here, get the talk going, and yeah, you might have your own event scheduled for February or March, but you're not going to have 100 million people tuning in to the next Nintendo Direct or the next PlayStation or Xbox event, you know? So now's the time, I think, if the game is ready and if you have faith in it. So, yeah, those are my last few... I'm excited. I keep thinking about it. Those are my last few thoughts, speculation. What else would be big? A Microsoft Nintendo partnership where we figured out a way how to do the following. Boom, GoldenEye 007 launching in its original format on the Nintendo 64 and the Xbox One and Xbox Series platforms can be played together, dropping now. Like, I'm just now throwing out, you know, crazy ideas of fun. Not that I think that's going to happen necessarily, but just, like I said, now we're getting into, like, you know, silly territory, but still possible, right? Any new hardware? It's too early for, like, a PlayStation 5 Pro or an Xbox Series X, you know, Type X, or, you know, whatever they would call it if they do that. But that Nintendo Switch Plus thing, maybe. But it might not be the right time because you don't want to eat away at sales of the remainder of the holiday season of like, well, you know, should I wait a year until it comes out or wait a few months? I don't think they would give a early release date. But if it's like a, you know, it's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Because I was like, if you say coming in March, boom, you're going to eat a lot of your holiday sales away. If you say, you know, coming November next year, that's kind of too far off to announce it because unlike, you know, Xbox Series X, where, all right, your old system is kind of fading, boom, here's something hype to look for a year from now. Nintendo Switch is not fading. Nintendo Switch is very solid. Do you want to have people waiting for a whole year for a new system when you're already solid? Nah. So, like I said, it'd be thrilling to watch it, but totally unnecessary and maybe not the best move. But perhaps we will get a Nintendo Switch Plus or Pro model in the fall of 2022, or maybe between March and November of 2023, right? Speculation talk. I don't want to get into that area right now. I want to focus on the Game Awards. What's going to win Game of the Year? Whew. My final Game of the Year is... Now, I do have a couple of weeks left, so I'm still giving a little bit of extra time to a couple of games that I haven't finished quite yet. I guess you could say I beat Big Brain Academy, Brain versus Brain. I have almost fully beaten and 100%ed Guardians of the Galaxy, but I think even when I get to beating Guardians, which is awesome, by the way, and even as I get more platinum trophies in Big Brain, I don't think either one's going to win Game of the Year at this point, but still excellent. Halo Infinite, though, that's one that I have only spent a little bit of time on in multiplayer and campaign that could, playing through the campaign and beating it, could that be my Game of the Year? It's still too early. Like Ratchet and Clank, some of these other games, Bowser's Fury, Ghost of Tsushima's DLC alone, Iki Island, Returnal, these are the games that I played through, beat or played enough of in some cases where, Metroid Dread is my pick for Game of the Year. Just a couple of little games, well, not little, but like Halo Infinite, little situations, I should say, where, I haven't played enough of it to fairly say this many hours of Metroid versus this many hours of Halo, this percentage of the game versus this percentage of the game. Can I really get that accurate gauge? Monster Rise is on that list too of top games of the year. Shin Megami Tensei 5, that's one where played more than Halo Infinite at this point, but haven't beaten. So that's actually really high up there, close to Metroid Dread. Could it potentially beat it? I'm going to say still Metroid Dread. And honestly, as good as Halo is, let's say I don't know with 100%, clarity, because I haven't beaten it yet, or SMT5 for that matter. Have I played enough to say, Metroid Dread would still win? Not a guaranteed that I played enough, right? There's still a lot more to Halo to play, and a pretty good chunk of SMT5 to play, even though, unlike that one I said, played enough of it probably. But yeah, my pick for Game of the Year is Metroid Dread, unless if something crazy happens in the next 22 days. But that's my pick for tonight, anyhow, getting back onto the show itself. I think the game will pull it off. If it doesn't, I won't entirely be disappointed, because there are some other, pretty worthy titles in there, I think, that, they're all good, they're all great. It's just, for me, Dread deserves it, clearly. That's going to do it for my Game Awards portion of this video. Next up, it is Thursday morning, and these are the Famitsu sales for week 49 of 2021, occupying November 29th through December 5th. Thank you to Chris1964 from the installbaseforum.com forums. Let's get into business. On the software side of things, Nintendo Switches, Pokemon Brilliant, Diamond, and Shining Pearl came in at number 1 with 164,000 copies sold. At number 2, Mario Party Superstars with 40,600. At 3, Big Brain Academy Brain vs. Brain with 36,000. Great game. At 4, Animal Crossing on Nintendo Switch with 18,600. At 5, the Nintendo Switch version of Minecraft with 18,300. At 6 is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with 16,100. At 7th is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate with 14,700. At 8, Disney Magical World 2 Enchanted Edition on Nintendo Switch with 13,300. At 9th place is Ring Fit Adventure on Nintendo Switch with 9,300. And at 10th place is Pokemon Sword and Shield with 8,998, just 2 copies shy of 9,000. That is a great look of the top 10 being total Nintendo domination. We have several old games having an increase in percentage. It will be fun to later on check out spots 11 through 30 and see, where are some of the other games, because the lowest game here is 8,900. So we're probably going to get quite a few games in that 5 to 8,000 range, which is selling respectively, especially for older titles and how they fare. And some of them not necessarily old, just, kind of front loaded, like Shin Megami Tensei 5. Is it in the top 30 still? Hopefully. On the hardware side, ooh, you're going to like this. 202,937 Nintendo Switch units were sold in the week in Japan. That's only, 1,700 shy of last year's 204,622. But more importantly, it is up over last week's 122,000. But most importantly, this has got to be the highest ratio of one console in favor over another console that I've ever seen in these Famitsu charts. Second place to Nintendo Switch's 202,937 is the PlayStation 5 with 1,919. You know Pac-Man, right? A pie chart. In this case, Nintendo Switch occupies almost all of Pac-Man and his mouth is barely open, and this little sliver right here is PS5, Xbox Series S, 3DS, and PS4. That's unprecedented. That's a 100-to-1 ratio. I don't think it's ever been done before in Japan. That's mind-blowing. For every one person that bought a PS5 that week, 100 bought a Nintendo Switch. So since there were 2,000 PS5 owners that are new that week, 202,000 new Nintendo Switch owners that week. Staggering. If there was a week where Microsoft could have pumped a little more stock in Japan to become second place, this was the week. But they have to take care of the North American market. That's their bread and butter market, if you will. They still sold 558 copies for the week, units I should say. 3DS at 423, PlayStation 4 at 116. If you look at the breakdown further, PS5 beat out the digital edition quite considerably. S beat out X on the Xbox side of things. Nintendo Switch OLED model, though, it made up pretty much half. A good 99,195 of these units sold were on the OLED side of things. Regular Switch, 53,000. Switch Lite, 49,900. So pretty healthy for Nintendo. Of course, you have PS4, 116 at the bottom, and 3DS line, 423, like I mentioned earlier. That's what you see. The last little thing I'm going to talk about, a little detail, is this right here, this competition between 2020 and 2021. You could see that, okay, Nintendo Switch is falling a little bit behind in these last several weeks of its 2020 self. Part of that came thanks to when the OLED model was announced. Sales were a little bit lower for those several weeks leading into OLED because of people waiting. Right now you would say, well, shouldn't they be selling more? And there are a couple thousand less. But you have another problem, stock shortages. You have to allocate throughout the world on top of literal chip shortages impacting how many you can actually manufacture and ship out to any region. And Nintendo is hot right now and trying to satisfy all territories. We're hearing new success stories out of Spain and other parts of Europe and the UK, United States doing very well. Japan still doing very well. I believe Australia is having a nice bump in Nintendo Switch hardware sales now over previous respective times during the holidays. So really good. Nintendo could only make as many as they make. You could say that's the same problem with PlayStation and Xbox. And yeah, but if PlayStation and Xbox were pumping out 200,000 PS5s and Xbox Series X's in Japan for the last week, would they be selling out? No, I don't think so. They'd be selling more than they are, maybe 30, 40,000, but still not 200. Nintendo is on another level in Japan right now, and it's pretty wild. But here's what I put on Twitter earlier today. Nintendo Switch needs to sell 1.2 million units in the next 4 weeks to best 2020. Which is an average of 314,000 plus units per week. If you look at the next 4 weeks in Japan, it's pretty strong. I have no doubt that Nintendo in North America, in Japan for this year will be pretty strong in the next 4 weeks. but averaging 314,000 per week, which means that some got to be higher, some probably lower, doesn't seem that likely. I think it's time for 2021 to say, 2020, you won. But with an asterisk, because I think OLED's announcements led to several weeks of a decline, and chip shortages led to the last several weeks during the holidays not having as much stock. But I still think that 6 million flat is possible. That's still, even that number of mine is a little ambitious. I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't make it and reaches like 5.8 million. If it does 6 million flat, that's only like 4.3, 4.7% shy of its 2020 self, which is wildly, madly impressive. But even if it's like 10% shy, dude, that's still terrific. That's still very impressive. And that means just we got 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. But I wouldn't be surprised if 2022 ends up being somewhere between 19 and 21, right? Maybe it could even surpass 21 or 20 on the wild end if Nintendo plays it right with games, price drops, game price drops, console price drops, potential new hardware strategically announced at the end, and most importantly, kind of stock availability. But this is the look. This is the ambitious prediction of 6 million. I think, and this is what I said. Some people do say that my 247,000 average over the next 4 weeks is ambitious. That's comparing 247 to the 314 that's needed, right? That's still like, 77,000 difference or so. But if the stock exists, I think it's going to happen. If it doesn't, yeah, maybe instead of like a 4.3% difference being behind, it's something like 10. Still a major success. I'm stoked. I love numbers. If you made it to the end, you know I like numbers. That was my talk for today. I will see you in 3.5 hours as of this recording. Less for you from when you're watching this to when I recorded it. Yeah, from when you're watching it to Game Awards is going to be a lot closer. So you might watch this, and then you might watch me in a minute or two later on the Game Awards stream. But all right, this is PGN signing out. Hope you all have a good time, good day. I'll see you later. This was fun. Take it easy. Bye.